Hey, everybody, and welcome to YouTubers Supporting YouTubers. And today's interview is going to be with Tom right here. And Tom, tell us a little bit about your channel. Find
Yeah,
the right road.
I started Find the Right Road during the pandemic. So like many people, we were all locked down and I was, binge watching YouTube channels on my iPad. And I am a car guy, if you can't tell from the background. And so, I made the decision probably June of 2020. I told my wife, I said, I'm going to start a YouTube channel and I'm going to do car stories and car shows and car reviews and basically anything that struck my fancy. And at 53 years old, my wife thought I had lost my mind. But she's like, you know what? If that's the hobby you want to pursue, it's pretty harmless. Go right ahead. And so I posted. Actually, the process of starting a channel is one that I wanted to really hit the ground running. And so one of the things I did was I went to YouTube and I started binge watching some channels that gave advice on how to start a YouTube channel. So, I had to learn everything about cameras and video editing and lighting and sound and all those sorts of things that I really didn't have any experience with. And so there were a number of channels that I followed, and I probably spent the better part of 2 months binge watching all of that material while I acquired the things that I needed. GoPro cameras and I bought a Canon M50 for the channel and then wireless microphones and a variety of things that I was going to need in order to film cars. And so with all that, I shot my first video and uploaded at the end of August of 2020 and have really never looked back.
Perfect. Yeah, and that's good. So you already touched on the first question I would have had, which is why you started a YouTube channel. I think a lot of people really got involved in the pandemic with kind of the YouTube hobby. Also on like the gaming side, we saw like a lot of Twitch streamers that started out new, and then other content platforms started kind of exploding around that time. But yeah, I love you're a car guy, and you have one of my favorite cars on the channel. I'll get into that a little bit later. Um, but on top of all of the YouTube advice you got from those channels that you were watching, who kind of inspired you? Are there any other like similar car channels that you take inspiration from, or is this purely
Yeah,
just
that's a great question. And the answer is there were a couple, one in particular. So there is a channel called Vehicle Virgins. And the creator of that channel is a young man who started on YouTube back when he was in high school, filming things, and it was kind of, what's the best performance car you can buy for $5,000 kind of videos. And his channel got a following, and so when he went to college at the University of Michigan, and I'm from Michigan, he went to study engineering at Michigan. His channel had taken off to the point where he had bought a Lamborghini Gallardo and he was driving around campus in a Lamborghini that I'm sure everybody looked at him and assumed mom and dad bought it for him. But in reality, his YouTube channel is what paid for it. And so today he's got over 2 million subscribers. He's moved to California. He's got a fleet of cars and does a bunch of car reviews and stuff. And he was kind of the guy that I really enjoy the most, that kind of inspired me to say, you know what? I don't ever expect to grow to his level, but I can do this too. And I can give a little different perspective because he's a young guy in his 20s and I'm a guy in his mid 50s. And so there's different ways of looking at things. And so that's why I decided to get started.
Gotcha, makes sense. And I know you mentioned you don't ever expect to grow to his level, but I guess what are kind of the goals or aspirations you have for the channel? You're getting a decent following right now for someone who just started in 2020. So how far do you think you want to go with it?
Yeah, so I own a small business here in Michigan that's my day job. And so, in trying to run that as well as do the YouTube channel, spend time with my wife, who does like to see me once in a while. Um, on top of that, I live in Michigan where we have 4 seasons. And so, there are times that I can't film anything. There's not much I can do in the wintertime that's automotive related. And so, I have to pick and choose. So the channel kind of takes a dip through the winter. And then in the spring, I kind of fire back up again and say, okay, I've got plans to do these types of videos and this type of content. And I just start pursuing that. So, I never started it really with the intention of making a lot of money at it. Although I am monetized and it does make money, which I enjoy. I didn't do it as an intention to replace my day job. Although in reality, I've even told my employees, if I ever got to the point where the channel was averaging maybe 5,000 a month or more, I would seriously consider selling off my business and doing this full time, just because I enjoy this more than I enjoy the business that I started 17 years ago.
Okay, well, that's pretty exciting, and hopefully it does get to that point, because I think it's always good. There's always that quote that says that if you enjoy what you do, you never work a day in your life. So
Right,
yeah.
exactly.
So now we'll get to more specific, kind of focusing on the car channel aspect questions. Um, so that Corvette you got, huh? Or your
Yeah,
wife got, I guess.
so my wife and I now have owned or leased 7 different Corvettes going all the way back to 1996. And so as of today, what is sitting in our garage is a 1995 model, which I've been filming this summer, doing a variety of content for. And then my wife actually daily drives a 2023. And so she had a 2003 that we bought when she got her master's degree and got the job at the University of Michigan Medical Center, and she put 120,000 miles on that car in the time we owned it. She had a 2013 Grand Sport convertible for a while, and then in 2023 we decided to buy one. And that actually turned out to be a challenge, because in our eyes, if we're going to spend that much money on a car, I wanted to test drive one first. I wanted to see what they felt like. The problem is, try going to any Chevy dealer and ask to test drive a C8 generation Corvette. They don't have, there aren't demo models for you to try. And so what I ended up doing, and this story is actually up on my channel, is I found that if I go to Turo and I rent one, I found one in Las Vegas, and I'm a Vegas regular. I go usually 3 or 4 times a year. I said, you know what? I'm going to rent one for a day in Las Vegas when my wife and I are out there together, and we'll both get a chance to drive the car, and we'll get a sense, is this really something we'd be interested in buying? And after spending a day and putting 125 miles on it or whatever, we both had decided, yep. We gave it a thumbs up, placed an order in January of 22, and then the car arrived in June of 22 as a 23 model.
Nice. And so I know you don't ever intend this to replace your day job, but say, tomorrow you wake up, you have like 5 million subscribers. Are you ever going to be one of those people who just like buys a car for the purpose of a video and then like either sells it off or gives it away? Or I guess a Mr. Beast, if you know Mr. Beast style, like, oh, I bought this brand new Lamborghini and I'm giving it away to someone.
Yeah, that's a great question. I actually like the 95 I'm driving right now. The wife and I've kind of set a budget, and my plan right now is to buy a car, film it for the summer, sell it in the fall, buy another one, and next summer film that. And so since I have so much Corvette content, I had this one here, which was a 2007, which was a 6th generation car, and I'd already done a lot of content with that. I decided to look for either a 5th generation Corvette or a 4th generation, and this 95 is a 4th gen that I found last fall. And so I bought that specifically, really, for the only intention I bought it was to film it for the channel. And so I've got one last video I need to film with it, and then it's going up for sale in the next 30 days or so. And when it sells, that now helps my budget for what the next car is going to be, which will be a 5th generation Corvette. And so next summer, the plan is buy the 5th gen, film it throughout the summer. So it'll be, hey, I'll take it to the racetrack and I'll do a review of the car and I'll say, what to look for when buying a 5th generation car. And here are the 5 things I love the most about it. Here are the 5 things I hate the most about it. This is what maintenance costs look like. I'll do all kinds of videos like that. And then I'm going to sell it. And then I don't know what I'm doing next after that. I know the next car will be a 97 to 2004 Corvette, but I don't know what I'll buy after that. If it grew to that point where I had that many subscribers and it was generating that kind of level of income, absolutely, I would consider buying cars and offering them in a raffle to viewers and that sort of thing. But I'm a long ways away from that yet.
Right, right. Just it's always fun to dream big because I mean, obviously, like 5 years ago, Mr. Beast was only at 8,000 subs, and look where he's at now. So it can happen. It's about as like
Anything can happen, and in my case, I'm at a little over 3,100 subs when I looked at it today, and that's been a significant increase, which is one of the reasons I had reached out to you about having this conversation. And we can talk about that now if you want. Is I did a video that is the first time I've seen one of my videos get basically caught in the YouTube algorithm, and where they started suggesting it to more and more viewers, and more people started clicking on it and viewing it, to see a video suddenly skyrocket as far as number of views. I had never had that happen to me before. So the video that I filmed, which I put up at the end of January, is I had flown to Florida and I'd rented a Polestar 2, which is an electric car. And, I had to rent a car from Hertz. The wife and the mother-in-law were going with me. We're going to a 40th birthday party for a cousin. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to rent an electric car. And so I did a video really about the problems with Hertz. They're not ready for prime time in renting electric cars. They didn't even tell me what the charge level needed to be at when I returned the car. And then I had problems with the 2 different charging networks that I tried to go to charge the vehicle. And so I did this video and I documented it. So I put it up at the end of January, February, March, April, May. Video does, a couple hundred views a day, nothing special. In fact, in May, the video did 11,000 views. So about 350 views a day. Not a huge number. And then about the middle of June, it suddenly went from, 3, 4, 500 views a day. And within 10 days, it jumped from June 16th, it was 471. By June 27th, 11 days later, it had jumped to 22,337 views. I was logging in every morning excited, going, where's it going today? Where's it going to stop? And so it peaked on June 27th at a little over 22,000 views. And then it slowly started to decline its way back down. And even today, it's the number 2 video on my channel. It's still getting 500 views a day. And so it's fascinating to kind of watch the channel as far as revenue stream, because the channel through the first, 5 months of 2023, it was making $150 a month type of thing. I mean, it was nice. It helps pay for the car shows I go to, but it wasn't anything significant. Then this video takes off, and the channel goes from having 30,000 views in May to 161,000 views in June. And the revenue jumps from $183 in May to $1,075 in June. So when I told my wife, she just couldn't believe it. She's like, hey, as long as it gets deposited every month to our savings account, it's fine by her.
That's actually a pretty awesome success story. And I love it when, the YouTube algorithm just kind of latches onto something and then pushes it to everyone. It's kind of good. I've had quite a few of like older videos that for years, just they got a couple views every so often. And then for some reason, just like all of a sudden, it's just 1,000 views a day. Why? And so you just kind of go.
I think what happened is I had posted it to Facebook, and one of my friends who is in the auto industry commented, and she said there have been a lot of news stories lately about Hertz and kind of the growing pains they're going through because they've made a major commitment on moving to electric vehicles with Teslas and Polestars. And And I think those stories may have drawn more people to go to YouTube and search for renting a Polestar on Hertz or something. And I'm one of the only videos out there that combine the words Hertz and Polestar 2. And I think that's really what made it take off.
Yeah, it could be. And I like that you kind of look at that analytical reasoning at approaching your channel. And so I guess, I mean, obviously Corvette's your favorite car, but what would be a dream car you would do for a video? That
It's I've had people ask me that question before. And what I would tell them as far as a car that I want to own. So let's say I win Mega Millions tonight for $900 million. What car is Tom going to go buy? I have always been a fan of the Ferrari 458. Now they haven't built a 458 in a decade now. I want to say production ended in 2013 or 14 maybe. Um, the last naturally aspirated V8 engine from Ferrari, the last Ferrari designed by Pininfarina, because after that car, all their designs came in-house and Ferrari did them themselves. The sound of that car, and I've driven one before, is truly amazing. I would find a red with tan interior, probably a Spider, with low miles. They run about $200,000 to $250,000 to buy one. That is the first car I would run out and buy.
perfect. And man, yeah, that definitely is a dream car for sure. Um, well, Tom, is there anything you want to kind of tease potential viewers with about some upcoming videos that are going to be coming out?
Yeah, so obviously when I bought this fourth generation Corvette, I've been doing a variety of content with that. I did a review of the car. I did a video about if you're shopping for a fourth generation Corvette, here are the things you ought to take a look at that could be potential problems when you buy that car. This last video, which is actually going to be a very long video and it's going to take me a while to put it together, is I am going to do a video for that buyer who maybe has never owned a Corvette before, and maybe their budget is $10,000 and they're looking at a fourth generation Corvette. They built them from 1984 to 1996. So I'm going to do a video of what changed with every model year, starting with 84 all the way through 96. And there were engine changes and transmission changes and a lot of things that took place. There's a drastic difference between a late model car like the 95 I have in my garage and an early model car from 84 and 85. And so that's really the last video I want to get done that I need this 95 to be a part of. And then when that's done, the car goes up for sale and I start shopping for my fifth generation Corvette. And if I happen to sell it and buy a fifth gen in a relatively quick period of time, I'll spend some time this fall starting to do content on that.
Perfect.
So, and then the other video that I know is in the plans is I got another trip to Vegas in November, and it's kind of my routine now is I rent a car every time I go to Vegas and I film it. I just budget an extra day in my trip and I rent it on Turo, and in Vegas you can rent almost anything on Turo. You want to rent a Lamborghini Urus SUV, you'll find one on Turo. And so I think my next car may be a Lucid Air, which is another electric vehicle, very expensive, high-end luxury car. But I can rent it for $150 for the day. And I have 24 hours now to take my time and film it and do everything inside and out. And so I'd say that's probably the next direction. That one I'll do this fall.
It sounds pretty exciting. And if you love cars and also want to, as I should say, I'm going to use your name as a pun, Tom. Sorry. Find the right road. You can go over to Tom's channel. I'll have the link in the description. And because YouTube is beautiful and allows us to actually tag creators in our titles as well, there'll be an easy tag, so you can just click on that as well. But thanks for your time, Tom. Enjoyed doing some car talk with you.
Great. Thank you very much.
Yep, absolutely.